one of my worst days were school days, because kids will overly and openly mimic how I talk, how I talk like a male god. No one is born with a stammer, because no one is born while talking. At some point, there is a developmental phase where all kids learn how to talk.
Greetings from where you're watching us from, and welcome to the Secrets of the Mind. How often do you check on your mental well-being, or how often do you check on your friends? Because huku nje, things are not just the same. And as we meet with different people, we interact with different people, you don't know, or you might not know what they are going through. So here at the Secrets of the Mind, we give you some tips on how we can handle these things. We can handle all the things that come through your way. And also our major topic is on mental health and our well-being. So welcome and feel free as we start on our first topic. So today I have a guest with me. He will introduce himself, but I go by the name Jedida Wafula. I'm a training counseling psychologist and also a sign language interpreter. And in this episode, we'll focus more on persons with disability so that we understand, and as they give us their experiences, we can also understand how mental health is impacting their lives. So now to you, my guest, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Jedida. My name is Eric Sande. And like I always say, you can call me Sunday or any other day of the week. I'm a person with stammer. I identify also as a person with disabilities. And today's topic is so central within the disability space, because there is no dichotomy between disability and mental wellness. You cannot separate the two, because also as a person with stammer, I know that one of the main challenges or barriers that we go through as a community of persons with stammer is the issue of mental health and our psychology, because in the mind is where we fight very many wars. And I am glad that this show is called The Secrets of the Mind. And the mind is so powerful. It is where we fight wars. It is where we lose wars, or we win wars. And as a person with disabilities, and also as a disability champion, I believe this is the moment to champion for mental wellness for the disability community.
I believe, I don't want to believe, or I don't want to say that I know, but were you really born with stammering, or it's something that you acquired later in life? And also, as you answer that question, you kindly tell us more about your primary, your secondary, and your high school life. How was it? Was it an easy journey, or how did you fight through the education system?
First of all, no one is born with a stammer. Because no one is born while talking. At some point, there is a developmental phase where all kids learn how to talk. So at that point, we can even say that at the point where kids are developing their talking abilities, we can say everyone stammers at that point. So it becomes an issue when you reach about the age of 6 years. So about that age, then you are not developing to, talk. You have already developed now how to, talk. So, like any other kid, I would say I started to stammer around that age.
The age of 6.
Yes, though I don't recall any moment where I didn't stammer. So I normally say I have stammered for as long as I can remember, because the period where I didn't stammer, I cannot, remember that period. Like I said, stammering is fought more in the mind. That is where all the words, because you have to think first, and then the mind now connects with the muscles. So the mouth is only the vessel. So the mind has to connect with the vessel for you to
speak.
Yes. So that was an issue for me in primary school. I had very difficult primary schools. One of my worst days were school days, because kids will overly and openly mimic how I talk. They will throw words at me, how I talk like a male god, how they will even have something to like flip, and then they will dare me to say a word, and then when I couldn't say a word, they will now attribute that to that because they flipped something, then
they've closed your speech.
Yes. So that was my primary school days, which were very rough, and this contributed now to the mental factor, because I was fighting the wars that no one could see. What could be seen was how I struggled now to utter words, and how I had so many words in my mind, and I could only utter a few
of them. Yeah.
So that was the beginning of my mental story or journey. Often I consider myself to be an outgoing person, but I was coerced by the stammer, and which weighed down my mental wellness, that I retreated now into my own small corner, where I did not interact socially. I was always thinking how people will, see me. I was embarrassed to be, seen in class. I wanted to pursue leadership right at a younger age, but communication was an issue, and it was being seen as one of the attributes to even become a class prefect, right? So that was an issue, and it weighed me down mentally and psychologically.
Sorry to cut you short. So you've said that communication was a factor before you were chosen as a leader in your school. That is when you were in primary or still in high school?
Both. When I was in primary now, because I was also fortunate enough to be, I would say, to be smart. So, and that also was one of the criteria to identify leaders in a primary school. So then, but then I had a barrier now to, communicate well. So the only leadership I could be given at that point, because I was also smart, so I was given to be the timekeeper, which didn't need anyone to talk. So, and by then the bell was normally outside, somewhere tied on a big tree. So I will go, and then and somehow I was very famous because particularly the bell that comes now for lunchtime.
Yeah.
Everyone else was looking out to see the timekeeper going now to me. So I was very famous, and I couldn't communicate to my peers. So I was timid, but again famous. So moving to high school, I had my Aaron. I was the captain of the volleyball, and now the school captain. But when we went for the games, now when now the captain is needed to make a case to the referee because of my slowness in the communication, I was assigned now the game captain. So the game captain will now go to argue a case, but I was the overall now in any captain. So I considered my game captain to be now my Aaron because I was the Moses.
So you've talked about you being a bell ringer. Sorry to take you back in primary school, and you're famous. Did this change your self-esteem? Because right, you've said that kids used to make fun of you, and this really sometimes you used to break down, right?
Yeah.
So when you were given this position as a bell ringer, did it change your self-esteem and you viewed yourself in a different way?
Definitely, definitely, because particularly kids will come to me and tell me that you can always ring the lunchtime bell 5 minutes earlier. So that meant something to me because it meant other than being a person with stammer, because normally I viewed myself from that single lens of everything revolved around having a stammer, and I could attribute my failures to having a stammer. So being looked from a different angle, like being a timekeeper, really meant huge to me, and that made a difference during the primary school because I had something to seek solace from. When kids will mimic me, and then after breaking down, and then I realize I have other responsibilities to do. So that I would say that was my shock absorbers mainly. Otherwise I would have broken down further.
Now to your campus life, because you've talked about primary and secondary and how you are able to now come out strong because you had some leadership positions. So how was campus? Because now that's when our lives start. Yeah.
So with disability, and who is not I'm looking for the word in my mind, who is socially excluded. I felt I even felt stigma at the campus level. So it also had aspect of mental health, and at some point I believe I also manifested symptoms of depression at campus level, because campus is where social life like boom, because you suddenly you are a freelancing adult. You are not under the care of your parents or your teachers. You are somewhere all alone. You have some pocket money. So there's a need now to socialize. But here is a barrier which keeps on locking me into my own corner. Campus is where I discovered myself that I can actually pursue girls, So this is a barrier that I cannot run away from.
You've said at some point you developed signs of depression. So what were these signs that you experienced? Were they not eating, insomnia, not having sleep? Or can you just give us a little of the signs that you went through?
So one is the sleeping patterns changed. And how I realized this is that when my sleeping pattern changed, I tend to get more blocks when talking. Like my stammer tends to manifest more. And then two, like there reached a point where I don't want even to even socialize with the people that I am comfortable with. When they call me out, I find something to shatter, going out.
So like you kind of isolated yourself.
Yes. And even in my isolation corner, I will still find, I'm fighting wars with my mind. Like I don't know what I should do. I don't want to go out with my friends. At the same time, I am coerced to be indoors, of which I know myself I am an outgoing person. So there's this wars going in between my mind and the social life that is before me. So at that point, and I realized that I was actually depressed later when I now became more aware of myself, is when I realized, okay, there's a point in my life that nothing was moving. I even began to not doing cuts, not going for classes,
Not even doing the presentation.
Yes. When there is a presentation, then I make it my habit not to go to that class. So after a while is when I realized, okay, I have been struggling with my mental health, and also at some point I believed I was
in depression.
Yes.
So you've said after a while. So what made you realize? Because many of the people, they will tell you, maybe I had friends, and the friends were a support system, or I went for therapy, or I watched some new movies, or I watched some podcasts. So what really made you change your mind of? Because I don't see stammering as an embarrassment, but it's something in you. It's you, and it's who you are. So at what point did you feel now it's the right time for me to advocate for people who are stammerers?
Yeah. So first of all, right now I don't think if I can live without my stammer, because because it has been part of me for the longest time in my life. So I have found a way to view it not from the single lens of the stammer story, but from the multifaceted viewpoint. So in terms of where the point where now is what I would call my breakthrough point was when I entered into the space of advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities, and also for the stuttering rights. And this was made possible after I had one friend who was working at Emerging Leaders for Foundation, and they had this program on leadership development. And as I had mentioned earlier, from the younger age, I I believe I was called to, leadership. So the friend told me, you might like this training program. So I went, and there was a session on emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Just getting to know the tricks to play with your mind. Sometimes the mind plays tricks on you. So being aware of those tricks of the mind, and being aware to manage them. So from that session of self-awareness, and I believe I also had I was intentional now to make change or provide solutions to what I have been facing. Because many times I remember I was whining. I was attributing my failures to my stomach, to my disabilities. And I know many people out there, many people with disabilities actually attributes everything
to their disability.
Yes, their failures, their what. So it reached a point where I realized this whining will not make things any better. So at that point, I decided now to provide solutions, and also not only for me, but also for the community that I will be advocating for. So that was my breakthrough point. And then now from that forum is where now I also met the people who are within the disability space. And I realized even this issue of mental health, it is even more pronounced in the disability space. However, the attention that is being given to it in the disability space is even now minimal. For some reason, people tend now to liken their challenges to the disability, forgetting also their mental well-being. But I can tell you for sure that it is more pronounced, and it is there are many contributing factors to these mental issues that the disability community is facing. From because we know also there is a very thin line between disability and poverty. So the issue of economic crisis weighing people down. Now, on top of all the challenges that you are facing, you cannot access equal employment opportunities like any other person. And then now your disability also has challenges that now weighs you down even more in your mind. And that is where even many people get depressed, and they still don't know that it's actually a mental health issue. They still attribute it to
their disability.
Yes.
So in a ratio of 1 to 2 with self-esteem issues, because with people who stammer, the most mental health, the effect that they get is more on self-esteem, because when you go talking to someone and they laugh at you or they imitate you, it has a toll on your mental on your self-esteem. So in a ratio of 1 to 2, who are mostly likely to be affected with self-esteem issues? Is it the male or the female?
I am confident that it is the female. When we talk of the community of persons who stammer, because even within that community, women and girls who stammer are the minority. Statistics has shown that about 6 males who stammer, you only get 1 female. So by the fact that they are a minority, and also there are challenges attributed to them being women and girls, their self-esteem is crushed more male who stammer. And this does not only end at the stammering community. We have also seen this in the entire disability community, because even the society that we are in, there are historical challenges attributed to women and female. So girls and women with disabilities face more challenges than
the male
yes,
side.
So in terms of self-esteem, and this is central within the community of persons who stammer, because it's what it is lack of it that feeds now into psychological issues, into mental issues, because without it, then the chances of you accessing opportunities in life is very limited.
Even job opportunities,
yes, even going for the interviews, even looking for them, because you also have to be confident to see a job opportunity that fits you, but you can see it and you start because of the low esteem that you have, you start even doubting, so you not even go for it. So that is also one of the main contributing factor that also feeds now into the mental well-being for both persons with stammer and the entire disability community. So for me, I feel we must have a clarion call for the society to come in and provide solutions around the issues of mental health. And as we know it, it was even more pronounced during COVID.
Yeah.
When all persons were kulikuwa na ile curfew na nini, so
everybody was locked into their houses. Yeah.
You can imagine if everyone was just locked in the houses for a while. Was it a year or so?
It wasn't up to a year, but for the curfew, the curfew went for a year, but lockdown, it wasn't that much, because it used to, they lock, then they open, they lock, but they open. But the mental health issue was
more pronounced. And now you can imagine that there is some community within the disability community that have, in essence, being under lockdown
for the rest of
for
their
like
life.
10 years, for like 20 years, right? So you can imagine the level of the mental issues that community might be having.
So as we wind up, so you as Sunday, you've fought as a person who is a stammer, you fought. Now you are in the space of advocating for people who are stammerers, if I'm not wrong. I don't want to get the words wrong. So what will you tell the other people who are stammerers, more so the kids who are growing up? So what will you advise them, and also talk about self-awareness? How will they be able to come out of not fighting in their mind but going to apply for these jobs? How will they come out of I can't do this, I can't talk, to I can talk and I can do anything? So just like a piece of advice to them.
First and foremost, it is right to get it wrong. We say persons with stammer. We don't say stammerers. But I know for a fact that it is right to get it wrong, because that is the now point of
getting it right.
Even and this has been informed now by the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The kind of terminologies that we must use, the person first language, a person with stammer, not the disability first.
You see the person first before you see the disability.
But that said, I feel for my younger self, for a kid who has a disability, or for a kid who has a stammer. Because by then I was yearning to get help as a kid with stammer. I couldn't find help. So I cannot advise that kid because right now, looking back, I feel for him. What needs to be done is the society and the government, right? Both the duty bearers and the rights holders must make sure that the society is inclusive of everyone. Because when you are a kid, there's nothing much you can do. These are all new things that you might be facing, right? You are lost. So I feel for that kid. And unfortunately, that kid, I don't have any advice for him because the kid has not committed any crime. The society has. And for an adult, for a peer young person, young people with disabilities, what I can tell all of us is that do not be too hard on yourself. Do not focus on the single story of your own self, because we have so many things going on that that we can actually focus on and leverage and come out addressing this myriad of challenges that we might be facing. And we must all embrace the social-based model, the human rights-based model, because that is that focuses on the environment, making sure that you are not disabled more by the environment that you are in. So that is the focus that we can have. Lastly, we don't have to take mental issues lightly. For so long, we have treated it as a non-issue. We have focused on what looked to be most impinging issues, like the kind of disabilities that we have, neglecting the mind. And as we all know, the mind is so powerful. Without the mind, without the urge and the intentions to address things, you cannot really achieve anything. So just like our disabilities are vital, our mental health is also vital.
Yeah.
And we can also focus on it.
Okay. Before I forgot, you recently celebrated creating awareness. So did you come up with any initiative to help people who stammer, or you've not yet there? And how many awareness creation have you done? And when did it start, the creation of awareness?
So the International Stammering Awareness Day is celebrated globally. And also in yesteryears is when we started to celebrate it in Kenya. And slowly stammering community all over the world is coming out to mainstream what we call stammer voices. So some of the things we have done is to first of all think of the kid who is in a primary school. And the kid, what they need is sessions, right? So we are making sure that the services of speech and language therapists is more available to the kid that needs it. So we are advocating to make the services accessible and available. And then number two, we are also advocating for social inclusion of adults who stammer. And we are not only limiting ourselves to the stammering community, because we are aware that that we do not have to leave anyone behind. So we are focusing on, yes, we have a bias on stammering community, but we are moving together with the disability movement to ensure that we have social inclusion of all persons with disabilities.
Okay, thank you so much. Any last word before we go?
Last words. I'll thank Science TV again for being generous and for also advocating for inclusion of all. And I will have a clarion call to community members and also to the government, because the government must be made aware that community of persons with disabilities need an inclusive society. So, and the government must play a huge role in this. So that is my last words.
Thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us till this time. And don't forget, your mental health is very important. Your well-being is very important. Don't forget to check on your friend, and don't forget to check on your mental well-being. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.